So hello everyone. As Elias said, for the next half an hour, we're going to be talking around the area of decentralized gaming infrastructure, which sounds very dull, but I'm sure my experts will make it sing with interest and excitement. My name's John Jordan, and I've been in blockchain space since 2018. Done a number of different things, and currently continue to do a number of different things. Do some investing with Hiro Capital, and also run my own podcast and YouTube channel and various other consulting things. But I'm really not important. I'm not here really to talk very much. I'm here to sort of get the juice from the experts. So shall we start off? John, do you want to introduce yourself and talk a bit about what Umbrella Network does?
Sure. Thanks, John. And thanks, guys, for having me on. My name is John Chen. I'm part of a project called Umbrella Network. We are a decentralized layer 2 data oracle. So similar to Chainlink or BAM protocol, we bring data onto the chain. So it could be cryptocurrency pricing pairs. It could be stock prices and commodities and financial data. It could be weather. It could be sports statistics. It could be randomness to gaming projects. Any type of data we bring onto the chain. What makes us a little bit different is most other oracles, when they bring data on chain, is usually done sequentially or linearly, meaning one piece of data at a time. So if a project, let's say, wants the price of BTC USD or Ethereum USDT, or let's say like the S&P 500, most data oracles need to get each piece of data one at a time and write it to the blockchain. So with certain chains like Ethereum, where gas and transaction costs can be quite high, or even lower cost chains, but you need to get a lot of data, those costs can get prohibitive. And it could be time consuming and not scalable. What we do is we aggregate all our data into a single Merkle root hash that's aggregated and then written onto the chain at one time. So what that key differentiator does is allow us to, one, be able to scale massively, because we can write technically 10,000, 100,000, potentially even millions of pieces of data all at once. So it's massively scalable, and it's also incredibly low cost, because we don't have to worry about sequential costs of writing pieces of data one at a time. So that's the key differentiator. The other is, since we're a layer 2 oracle, we're able to do things processed on the layer 2, which allows us to move faster and to provide a lot of benefits around that as well. So that in a nutshell is what Umbrella does.
Lovely, very succinct, good, thank you. Or do you want to tell us a bit about yourself and what happens at Chromia?
Yeah, sure thing, John. Long time too. Basically, I'm long time in the space. Started in 2011. Co-founded the original, I would say, Color Coins protocol back then, which was the first NFT on top of Bitcoin. Led the open source project with Alex Mizrahi and Henry Kielte, which are now my co-founders at Chromia. Quickly, we realized you cannot build anything on top of any existing infrastructure back then. And what we ended up doing was basically combining existing data models like relational DBs like PostgreSQL and so forth with blockchains. So essentially, anyone can deploy a smart contract with only its SQL knowledge. They can host very complex data. The whole architecture is very similar to Cosmos in a way that you have all the sidechains one application, and then all the sidechains can interop by trading NFTs, data tokens with one another, similar to IBC-ish. We have no fees, of course, and the first use case that we were thinking about, it was gaming. We acquired a gaming studio called Antler Interactive 2 years ago, before gaming was hot. And together with them, we thought about what we can do together and what kind of title can fit more of a blockchain and Web3 environment. And what we're doing, they created My Neighbor Alice, which was one of the first play-to-earn titles based on Animal Crossing slash Farmville, I would say, which still have tremendous success. With about 52,000 users registered to Steam, 1,500 players that actually played the pre-alpha game and really enjoyed the posted content and so forth. The studio grew from 5 people to 40 people, and hopefully they will be launching as well the full gameplay soon, and planning to do more titles as also later. So that's a little bit about what we've been doing in our whole focus on gaming, NFTs, and so forth.
Good, thank you very much. Well, either Steve or Vicken is going to win the prize for the best backdrop. I don't know which. I think joint first prize. Steve, do you want to tell us what Sandstorm's up to?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the space in crypto since 2013, and got to see the comings and goings of previous cycles, and sold my previous company to one of the founders of PayPal, Max Levchin, and his company Affirm acquired a peer-to-peer lending business I started in 2015. After that, dove into crypto full time, started building up a community on social media. You can look me up, Hack Crypto on YouTube. And after that, I spun out a company called Grow Your Base, my co-founder, and it became the 8th largest landowner in Sandbox over the last year. And this year, I started Sandstorm, which is a metaverse education platform. The goal here is to effectively teach the next 100 million people all the different components that go into gaming and the metaverse, how to get involved, and everything down to downloading MetaMask. I think we often forget the basics. So very much about education. We're reaching 3 million people a month right now, and we have about 24,000 players registered, eager to learn about the different builders. We bring on 3 streams per week from 2 professional streamers, and we have highlighted a lot of builders, gamers, landowners in the metaverse, and creators that are amazing, and we bring them onto the show. And the platform that we've developed allows people to, just like this stream that everybody's watching right now, you're allowed to purchase NFTs while you watch the stream. So it's an all-inclusive platform meant to very much streamline and simplify everything for newcomers to get used to getting into the metaverse and experiencing it.
I love the way you just sort of say, yeah, we just ended up being the 8th largest landowner, as if that's sort of something sort of look behind the sofa and we've got a bunch of land. How did that happen? Ooh,
yeah.
And is it just Sandbox that you focus on at the moment?
At the moment, yes. Yeah. We partnered with them early on, and we were the first active social hub. We work with Lucas, the CTO, and Seb, who was just on the previous panel, every week to deploy the social hub before the alpha came out. So people could come in and experience multiplayer for the first time. That was September 1st that we did that. And we took like this legendary selfie that became a Pope, and people could buy and sell it. And we're starting with Sandbox, but we plan on going across the entire metaverse and teaching people all different components.
Cool, very good, excellent. And Vicken, what's Blast up to?
Hey guys, excited and grateful to be here. I feel like a newcomer amongst veterans, crypto veterans. I've been in the space for a couple of years, which feel like a decade in crypto time. But yeah, really excited to be here. And Vicken, one of the co-founders of Blast. The other co-founder, you met him earlier today during our demo. And Blast is a gaming platform aiming to connect every type of game with blockchain mechanics and play-to-earn dynamics. That's basically our long-term goal. Our short-term goal is providing users a product to enable 1 versus 1 challenges, team versus team challenges, and tournaments in a decentralized way. And the idea is to show the average gamer how to provide a better way to engage in these types of competitions and gaming experiences like playing competitively without having to rely in a centralized party for the tournament organization and the payment process and all those sort of stuff. But Blast is also an open, composable platform for gaming studios to integrate with us to provide, and we provide tournaments as a service in a way. The idea is that we integrate with Web3 games on chain and with legacy traditional games through Oracleized APIs. And we'll fetch the gaming data, the scores, and all there is to know about every gaming experience on our backend, which is a backend comprised of smart contracts to enable this type of use cases. Play for fun, but also for profit and to have a financial upside on your gaming experience. That's basically, in a nutshell, what we do.
Good. So you're all sort of obviously all in the sort of blockchain Web3 space, but all actually quite different sort of companies with doing different sort of things. So again, hopefully we'll get sort of, I guess, different angles on what might be the same problem. So we're talking about infrastructure. So at the moment, we're sort of early in where we are in the sector. But do you feel like there are still sort of insurmountable technical challenges to be overcome? So are we so early that we can't really see over the next year how fast we're going to go because there's just some stuff we haven't done? Or do you feel like now, some of you have been in the space, getting on, almost 8-9 years now, are actually a lot of those fundamental things sort of dealt with now, and now we're dealing with things like education and dealing with maybe some sort of kind of second degree issues rather than sort of primary issues. I mean, John, maybe start with you. How do you see it? Is it, Oracle stuff is sort of has to be a bit boring, but sort of fundamental to how blockchains work? Is there still key stuff that you guys really have to do R&D on, or is it kind of a little bit sort of tinkering around, kind of optimizing your kind of data flows and stuff?
No, I mean, I think, John, you're right in the sense that things are still super early. The metaverse is still kind of in its early of forming. So I think it's important to figure out some of those things, particularly as it relates to oracles. The data management aspect of it is still kind of in development stages. And so is, I think, some of those current limitations with some of the blockchains in existence today. For example, with Solana, which is, I guess, known as one of the more faster transaction throughput chains, it's still really unable to handle the high computational requirements that are necessary for things like blockchain-based gaming. Even a simplistic game like an Angry Birds, for example, today can't be fully run on the chain. So designers have to be careful in figuring out the proper balance and proper data management strategies to figure out what are the key pieces that need to be put on chain, like obviously certain in-game assets, NFT-based data structures, all those things, in-session gaming data, things that have to be put on chain because of the immutability, transparency, and benefits that the blockchain provides. But most of the computation has to be done off chain. So obviously, it's still early stage. Things are still centralized. We're not at a stage where we can get to the level of decentralization that we may want to down the road. There's still, I think, challenges with onboarding, like Steve mentioned. There's still a lot of education that needs to be done because, look, if we look at gaming as an example, 3.6 billion people play games around the world, but how many people currently today have cryptocurrency wallets? It's a tiny fraction of that. But right now, wallets are necessary to do almost anything on chain. So as the metaverse evolves, we may need to figure out ways to lower the friction to onboard players, users in general, in order to get the broader adoption that the overall ecosystem is clearly going to have but it's going to take some time. So, at the end of the day, I think it's still early with lots of room for improvement and evolution across many fronts in the coming, kind of months and years.
I mean, Steve, I guess you kind of sit at a less sort of technologically advanced, if I might say, sort of situation where, your sort of education is your thing. But do you still feel like, when you're trying to interact with kind of the sandbox and do things like sending NFTs on a stream, which is presumably, as much as I know about it, fairly technologically advanced. It's not just you having to use someone's infrastructure there. Do you feel like you've got the infrastructure you need to sort of scale as fast as you would like to, or is it sort of tech that's holding you back, or for you is it more just sort of the educational side and getting sort of people to sort of just sort of sign up and know this is a thing that you can do?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that just like John said, we are super early to the point where, for example, I've had some very high profile celebrities reaching out to us asking to launch, wearables in the metaverse, all these different things. And almost like they're ordering at a drive-through saying like, one, please. And it's not ready for that level of volume with gas wars happening the way that they do just with basic drops. So I think that the infrastructure has a little ways to go, but things like Polygon are going to be the gaming chain, I think, with a lot of these individual assets in game where they're, pennies to operate on. And a lot of people in our community are very concerned about the pay to play concept where people come, we have thousands of people coming in from Minecraft and Roblox and things like that say like, oh, my parents aren't rich enough to let me play. They can't buy a plot of land to get me to play this game. And there is just such a thick layer of kind of cloud that we have to get through to allow people to even touch the tech first, because it's so intimidating to mainstream gamers, every different generation. I think what John had mentioned before was with the amount of crypto users is just teeny tiny relative to the world out there. I think in 1995, there was like 50 million people using the internet for scale. And Sebastian on the previous panel just said they have 1.2 million users. So in terms of like where we're at with the growth of the metaverse, I mean, we're pre 1993 maybe of the internet. So there has to be a lot of hand holding to get people comfortable, and the infrastructure has to come in hand. So I'm hoping that those go in tandem and work together nicely. And that's what we're trying to do by creating that bridge. But it's a game of tug of war to get there together, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, or I guess you're sort of sitting more. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're sort of a layer one blockchain. You are sort of the sort of baseline infrastructure. So do you see that's the sort of great advantage for Chromia that you can there's lots of layer ones out there. I guess Ethereum in terms of sort of value and prestige is still by far and away the place where the prestige stuff happens, but there's still not really a blockchain where people can just onboard easily and not pay really high gas fees, and it's robust. We have things like Solana and Polygon and Flow maybe, but none of them have really reached sort of critical mass yet. I mean, do you think that's the sweet spot for you guys to sort of come into that space and solve some of those onboarding and performance issues?
Yes, certainly, and especially as well composability as well. On top of the other one as well, we have the standard bridge to it as well, and to BSC. On top of that, so we work very, very closely as well with both of those ecosystem. And inside Chromia, we built it in a way which is composable from day one. So take a look, for example, at Cosmos. They have their own IBC. We have a very similar thing to that, as I mentioned earlier, which I think is the key pillar as well to have a success as well in Web3 infrastructure. So if Minebalis want to partner as well with Minds of the Larnia or Minds of the Larnia want to partner with any other game as well within our network, it will be very easy for them to trade NFTs between those games, even without the need of a proper wallet infrastructure to connect to. So those are type of things that we are working on, especially around tooling, tooling for onboarding, tooling for developers, and making sure that it all goes smooth with the advantage of our relational aspect of data modeling.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna have to go pretty fast now because they want to sort of finish roughly on time. So this will sort of be the last question because the other one's overrun. They want to sort of get back on time. So we've had some it's sort of come up in a few of your answers around sort of wallets, and I know that sort of seems again sort of a really techie sort of subject, but I think it's always been interesting that wallets have always been there, and wallets are quite an interesting concept that they sort of sit between the tech infrastructure side and the sort of onboarding side. So there always seem to be sort of a critical sort of a thing there about wallets. So I'll ask the last question on wallets. Do you think that sort of wallets are still the major problem, and actually we have some fundamental stuff still to do with allowing people to onboard with wallets that are easy to use, but they have access over them? So obviously we have sort of custodial wallets and non-custodial wallets at the extremes. Have we found a good solution that sort of does the best of those and somehow sort of finds a nice hybrid? John, do you want to give us a view on where we think we go with wallets?
I think,
and try and be fairly quick because we've only got a few minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to do my best. I think wallets are important because that's kind of the basis of how you can hold on to your in world or in game assets. But I do think that it is, as of today, the way wallets are structured, a bit of a friction point. If we're able to, maybe it's not so difficult to have a Coinbase wallet, but setting up and using a MetaMask wallet, it's not the easiest from a UI perspective. So maybe, down the road, there could be some improvements around that where it's relatively more seamless. A metaverse, for example, could allow some type of a free-to-play model where you're just able to onboard quickly without having to set up a wallet and get things worked out. Once you start playing and maybe you start earning in-game assets, at that point, if you do something with those assets, then you're required to set it up. That way, you're no longer front-loading a relatively, at least currently, somewhat difficult onboarding process, so that more people are incentivized to, when you actually have assets, you're gonna definitely be more incentivized to figure out how to set it up than today. It's, connect a wallet in order to enter. Whereas on some kind of metaverses and games, you can't even see anything until you connect a wallet. So that initial barrier to entry is not great, and it's not great today to be so upfront in the kind of overall process.
No, it's a very, very good point. We put in the hardest thing in the front of the queue, and then obviously, the whole. I don't know if it's true, but I always heard this anecdotal thing that 99% of people who start a MetaMask wallet creation just sort of go, what's this, and sort of leave. Vicken, I mean, I guess you sort of sit particularly. I mean, how do you got to deal with wallets in terms of your sort of esports kind of tournament kind of infrastructure, and what sort of improvements would you sort of like to happen, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, I think wallets are a key part of I consider it part of the infrastructure, to be honest. It's really important for them to evolve in many aspects of the whole Web3 experience. I mean, you have the security aspects, which are really important, but also it really touches on the user experience for many of the dApps and platforms. In our case, our platform doesn't really request for first-party data. We use the wallet to sign in and create a user on our platform. So it's very important for us. But like people were saying, I mean, it's so early, we probably won't even call them wallets in a couple of years. Probably it's going to be a piece of software embedded in iOS or Android or your browser or whatever. And the concept of a wallet probably won't even reflect what the use cases are going to enable us to do. So yeah, a key part of the user experience and infrastructure for sure.
And I think definitely when we have sort of, not that we don't have good user experience people in blockchain at the moment, but when we have sort of that particular area becomes more mature, I think yeah, we'll see exactly what you say where it becomes seamless. Steve, how do you see that?
Yeah, so I think that with the NFT craze kind of hanging strong, I like to think of it as the wallets, you know, when I was first starting out in 2013, 2014 era, was sending money back and forth. NFTs now have kind of opened this new functionality for wallets that I think supersedes money now in a really unique way. And it's blown open this door to the point where, you know, gaming and all of these cool new instruments are coming into the space because that new functionality's opened up. And, you know, Orr mentioned color coins early on. I remember playing around with that, and that's so cool to be on a panel with you, and you created those once upon a time. And I remember kind of yeah, it was a long time ago, but I remember thinking that I was like, wow, there could actually be something, you know, on top of Bitcoin. That's bizarre. And, you know, tabled it, and then CryptoKitties happened, and everybody kind of rushed back into it. But I think that with wallets, it's still rough around the edges. People will continue to lose seed phrases. People will continue to ask basic unanswered questions like, what do I do to fill the wallet after I have it? We've bounced around ideas of starting a DAO to fill the dust into Ethereum wallets just to get people started. We tried all different types of things to really lower that barrier to entry to bring people in, because we're all moving very quickly. But in reality, we're talking about less than 1% of the entire world population here. So I think the user experience needs to catch up. MetaMask has done a pretty good job educationally wise. That's what we always recommend newcomers use. And, you know, we kind of take them through step by step, hand holding through the whole process. And the metaverse is actually quite easy to access now. So I'm impressed by what Sandbox has done. Decentralized is doing a pretty good job. Somnium Space is doing a decent job. But I think that those experiences are going to get better because it's just native with gaming in terms of like things operating in the background. So my hope is it's going to get a lot smoother. You're not going to have to have the seed phrase front and center. You can just start up with an email and it will generate an address for you. And when you need to back it up, it'll give you instructions and things like that. But yeah, my hope is it gets a little bit smoother over the next year or two.
I always think the ironic thing is once you have MetaMask up and running, then the friction is gone to interacting with so many things. It's just it's sort of perfect. You don't need anything else. You just have MetaMask, but it's the setting up. Okay, so or you're going to finish this up. Finish this off now for the panel. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time. But how do you see this, and how's sort of Chromia dealing with stuff like wallets?
Yeah, so basically we have our own as well a single sign-on supported wallet, which is highly secured and very good as well for on-ramping the users. It's very user-friendly. On top of that, of course, we are looking at type of things like MoonPay, of course, which will let the users as well buy directly from credit cards, which is good, medium solution, I would say. And on top of that, of course, I mean, while the colleagues as well here in the panel said that MetaMask isn't that user-friendly at the moment, but there's 10 million users, so we have login as well from MetaMask directly to the common network. So not like RPC because we are not EVM compatible, but we'll have a way that you can log in from MetaMask and deposit funds within the common environment. So we've been very highly focused as well on our wallet and on the onboarding process, and we think we are getting there. Somehow we don't see any complaints with it from the users that are logging into from the games, and there are about like 200,000 users by now that unique ID wallets that access the wallets. So it's pretty good numbers. But yes, it is a very highly focused wallet.
Yes. Okay. Well, on that point, I guess that's maybe that's crystallized the fact that we are early. There are some decent solutions, but they're not the solutions that we want. And maybe that's a good area for 2022. If anyone has any strong technological urges to do something new in blockchain, wallets would probably be a good place to start. Anyway, thank you very much to John or Viken and Steve. And whoever's in charge now, I guess they press some sort of button and we all vanish into the metaverse. I don't know. I don't know that button. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that.
Right.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.